Welcome back. I'm Judea Murray, and you're watching a special Black History Month episode of On a Positive Note. Now let me tell you something. When you're Black and you're new to New York City, one of the first things you're bound to do is run into Black-owned Brooklyn. And it's exactly what it sounds like. An online directory doing the hard part of finding the culture in the borough for you. We spoke to its co-creator, Cynthia and Untitled Chapter, about how their passion project turned major movement is having a huge impact on our community.
Everyone has a story and you just need to listen.
Tayo and Cynthia Jiwa are the founders of Black-Owned Brooklyn, a publication dedicated to supporting and celebrating Black-owned businesses, Black history, and Black culture, and telling the stories of those faces behind them.
Our focus on telling these stories about Black businesses is because they're so critical to our communities.
Absolutely critical, and through their largely followed Instagram page, the powerful duo helps to support and promote what they call Black Brooklyn by making their stories accessible.
A lot of these businesses are more than just places where people sell things. They're oftentimes gathering places. They're places that have sort of an element that allows sort of an intergenerational community.
Here in central Brooklyn, we have one of the highest rates of Black-owned businesses in the country. Yet when we go to certain restaurants or shops, I wanted to learn more about them.
Cynthia says that Black-Owned Brooklyn was spawned by her curiosity about the people and stories behind some of her favorite neighborhood staples. She calls them a lens into what Brooklyn is all about.
We specifically feature stories about Black culture in Brooklyn, Black history in Brooklyn. The businesses themselves really are a lens into this bigger story about what Brooklyn is today.
And the couple's impact doesn't stop here, as they've been working on their very own feature-length documentary. You can head to our website at news12.com to learn more.
Our next guest says education is the pathway to equity. She's doing everything in her power to teach people who look like her how to break the cycle and overcome both social and economic barriers. Dr. Monette Ferguson is the head of the Bridgeport Anti-Poverty Agency Alliance, formerly known as the ABCD Head Start program. Her alliance was born as a response to President Lyndon B. Johnson's war on poverty in the 60s. She says Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and countless other nameless heroes encourage her to help others find wealth and good health.
They were killed, they were lynched, they were just treated in a horrible way throughout history. And our Black history today are those of presidents, those of Oscar winners and CEOs and founders. And that history is very much embedded into why I am so happy to be able to sit here today.
You can find out more about Dr. Ferguson and her mission on the News 12 app. It's time for a feel-good fact. Almost everyone knows Jackie Robinson. He was the first Black baseball player to play for the major leagues. Shout out to the Brooklyn Dodgers. But not many people know that Jackie wasn't the only talented Robinson. His older brother, Matthew "Mack" Robinson, was an absolute beast on the track. In 1936, he broke the Olympic record for the 200-meter dash, finishing second only to Jesse Owens. For the record, the 1936 Olympic Games took place in Berlin, under Hitler's rule. So you can imagine how big of a moment this was for two Black men from America to take both first and second place. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was your feel-good fact. Black American excellence at the Olympic Games didn't just stop at Jesse and Matt. Debbie Thomas from Poughkeepsie, New York was the first Black athlete to take a medal in any winter game. She won bronze for figure skating in 1988. In 2016, Ibtihaj Muhammad from Maplewood, New Jersey became the first American Muslim woman to compete in a hijab. This icon won bronze in fencing. Now this year, Athing Mo from Trenton, New Jersey not only broke a world record in the 800-meter dash, but she also became the first American athlete since 1968 to win gold in her event. And she's only 19. And most recently, we have Kelly Curtis, the first Black Olympian to represent Team USA Skeleton. I didn't even know that sport existed. I guess the Tri-State is just a breeding ground for tremendous athletes, because wait until you hear about this next one. It only took 695 miles, but a woman from Highland Park, New Jersey used her personal story to recreate history. We're headed to New Jersey, taking a walk in her shoes with Mitra Lundy.
The idea of doing that is great, but the physical toll is remarkable, to say the least.
Mitra Lundy is an author, producer, and a fitness coach. She's also the subject of the documentary A Walk in Her Shoes, which chronicles her recreation of Harriet Tubman's 695-mile journey to freedom. We sat down with Mitra at her Highland Park fitness studio, Kinetics, as she tells us her why was an attempt to overcome personal hurdles she was facing in 2017.
Pain is an amazing motivator. I had a major health scare, and my life was changing and shifting in ways that I just didn't imagine. And I was at a fork in the road and needed to make some decisions.
She then had a dream, and that set her journey in motion. And she chose to include a client who was also dealing with life's hurdles.
And I told her I basically dreamt about Tubman and that we should take a journey simulating Tubman's steps to freedom as a way of sort of inspiring something within ourselves.
The trek kicked off in June of 2019. Initially, the route was only going to include the Maryland to Pennsylvania leg of the journey, but after a second dream, Mitra decided she'd walk the entire route, ending in St. Catharines, Ontario. Now, along the route, they had to make changes because of things like safety and construction. And though Mitra's a fitness professional, this proves to be grueling for even the most fit. But her journey gives us a glimpse into what enslaved people had to endure as they followed the Underground Railroad to freedom.
Emotional, you did it!
The blisters on the feet and the amount of strength you need to have in your legs and the clarity of mind and dedication to such a thing really opened my eyes to how it must have been for Tubman to do such a thing.